Welcome. Today we're getting hands-on with the North 52 decision suite and bringing you another 5 top tips. This time we're focusing on features that you may be underusing or not using at all. My colleague Patrick is going to help us with the rundown.
That's right, Bruce. Let's get started. What would you say is your number 1 tip?
I would say effective use of inline calculations is my number 1, as they can be incredibly powerful. Inline calculations are essentially variables that you can set and then later use in your decision calculation or logic. Let's have a look at this multi-sheet formula which calculates pricing for various services at Belfast Harbour, and specifically the charges relating to the use of pilot boats. It is a 3-stage process defined on separate decision sheets. First, we are setting the base charges, piloted charges and boat rate in the calculations columns D and E. Next, these values are used in the adjustments sheet. You may notice that the inline calculation columns are named the same. This means the values will be overwritten by the new calculations. We could have used different names, but I think in this instance it makes sense just to update the same variable. Lastly, the 2 inline calculation values are used to calculate the price per unit and value for the quote line item.
Excellent example. What's your number 2 on your list?
It's another calculation type, this one called set_var concat, and as the name suggests, it concatenates values each time the variable is updated. For example, when processing insurance claims, you want to provide feedback to a user about what rules have been processed or why decisions have been made to reduce ambiguity and reduce the need for customers to call. In this dental insurance claim scenario, there are many checks made over several decision sheets. We can see here on the coverage rules sheet, we are setting messages when there is a match on a row. This one labelled external is intended for the customer and the internal for employees. Similarly, on the next sheet, we are setting messages when there is a row match relating to a previous claim. These are appended to the messages variable from the previous sheet because they are concatenation calculations. As the rules are processed on the various decision tables, more messages are appended before finally being saved to the claim detail record and presented to the end user, as can be seen here on screen.
I love it. I can see many applications where you'd want to store these kinds of messages. Moving on to number 3.
I think it's time to talk about the FetchXML wizard. Of course, you can manually add FetchXML to the global FetchXML tab, but why do that when the wizard gives so much more? To illustrate this, we're going to create a formula which will return and open a case record when a ribbon button is clicked. However, we will filter the cases that can be returned based on the user's settings. For our demo user, this will be cases with the subject equal to service. I have the FetchXML here, which returns all in-progress cases where the subject assigned is service and orders them by the creation date. However, depending on the user, this could change, so we need to remove this ID and replace it with a 0 in curly braces. North 52 will replace this value when the formula executes. In the formula editor, we select the FetchXML tab and click the plus icon. Enter Get Next Case for the name and copy it in the modified FetchXML. We need to pass in the user's case assignment subject as parameter 0, and to speed things up, I've already created a global calculation to retrieve this value. I click in the parameter 0 field and then select the source tab, expand global calculations and click on Get User Case Assignment Subject. Our FetchXML query is now ready, so I click Generate. This adds the fetch query as can be seen here on the global FetchXML tab and also generates a global calculation which we will use next. We go back to the decision table to implement our logic. We want to open the case form, so we use the Open Entity Form function. Shift-click to display the function wizard, ignore the friendly name as we will inject the function directly into the cell for this demo, and select the case from the entity name search. Now, this is where things are a little more interesting. We're going to use the global calculation that was created automatically to return the first record of any cases that were found by our fetch query. Click the ID field on the wizard. Go to the Source tab, expand Global Calculations if it is not there already, then expand Get Next Case. The fields specified in our fetch query are available to select under the primary node. We want the ID of the case, so we click on the Incident ID field, then click Generate. Our formula needs some additional logic to handle messaging to the user when there are no cases available and requires a command button setup, but we're not going to go into that detail in this short demo. The main objective of this demo was to show how we simplify working with parameterized FetchXML and how easy it is to obtain the values of fields from the first record returned in the query.
Wow, quite a bit to take in there, but that looks really powerful. Thanks for that tip. Let's hear about number 4.
I'm going to highlight an administrative feature this time. It's the bulk feature available from the North52 start page. Towards the bottom of the start page, click to show the administration options. The first button is bulk delete. If we click on it, we can then enter a table name in the panel. One of the best uses for this is to clear out North52 trace logs so you can debug more easily. Simply enter N52 and select N52 trace. Then choose all records and click execute. Confirm and a bulk delete job will be started. Obviously, be very careful which table you select. If we go to the trace log list, we can see the records being deleted. Another great use case for this is when using Test Shield and you want to clear out the test results.
Brilliant stuff. And the last tip for this video, number 5.
It's another admin feature, tracing. I highly recommend taking the time to understand North52 tracing, as it is invaluable for identifying issues that may arise when creating complex logic, and there are many articles on this topic on our support portal. In North52, a trace log, which is sometimes called a trace file, is the output of a formula execution. North52 tracing has 2 primary purposes. First one, information reporting, which is what the formula did and why. And secondly, error reporting, which is what the formula did and what went wrong. We can set different levels of tracing using the options in the configuration. Let's open the configuration file. The options for tracing level settings are off, well, this one's pretty self-explanatory. Internal, this can be ignored as intended for North52 use only. Information, show exception details. This level of tracing is used when you want to display information from a nested exception. This will not create a North52 trace record, but will be available to download from the business process error dialog. Information, this setting will produce a trace log when the formula has finished executing. This will create a North52 trace record that can be examined afterwards and would usually only be used in a development environment. And finally, information system logging. This is similar to the information setting, however, the trace records get created by the system user and therefore regular users will not be able to access the logs. This is useful when the logs could potentially contain sensitive information.
Thanks, Bruce. That's 5 great tips covered. These should really help users of North52 to work more effectively. Where can users go for more information and help?
The first port of call should be our support portal at support.north52.com. There's a ton of great information there, but any questions should be emailed to support@north52.com and one of our team will respond very quickly.
Okay, that's all for today's session. Thank you for joining us, Bruce. Don't forget to subscribe, keep yourselves updated, and see you next time.